Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, to Eclectic Alu. Thank you so much for subscribing and for liking my videos. I really appreciate that. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so by clicking right here and click the notification. That's all I'm saying. Okay, but for today's video, I wanted to talk about something that somebody asked me. I love these questions, so keep them coming please, so I can work on them, do my research and come up with a video. I would love to answer your questions about this. And so today I received a question in my Spanish speaking channel, which is called Terapia Grupal, and it's fairly new. I have a few videos there, but this question was, how can we overcome and why this is happening to me? I am still drawn to this person, and this person is abusive to me, and I know this logically, I know this logically, but I keep going back to this person. So let me turn off the air conditioning because it's summer here in Argentina. So, and she wanted to know what could she do about that. So that's what this video is going to be about. First, we're going to talk about trauma bonding, traumatic bonds, the Stockholm Syndrome, the chemistry that is behind that, and third, we're going to give you some tips on how to overcome this. I have here my blog post, which will be linked down below, and okay, that's where if you see me reading, that's where I'm going. So the first thing that I wanted to tell you is this. This is not something that happens because you are illogical, that because you have a problem, or like you said, like this magic thing, I can't explain this, but why this happens to me? Am I wrong? Am I abnormal? Am I defective in some way? No, this does not happen because of that. There are psychological reasons, chemical reasons in your brain, and that's what general public don't understand. Victims of abuse have a hard time leaving the abuser because of these reasons that I'm going to explain. And it's not that they are illogical people, that they don't reason. The thing is that this is how the normal brain reacts to abuse. Okay, so you're very normal, and this is the normal way that everybody would react if they were in your place. Okay, so don't feel weird or like something is wrong with you. So ever since we develop, from when we were children, we establish bonds with people, with friends, with family, with caregivers. And so the traumatic bond is the unhealthy bond that happens with an abuser. Intermittent reinforcement behaviors make this a pretty strong bond. It's even stronger than the healthy bond. So it's very hard to get out of it, but you can do this. Victims of abuse stay not because they are illogical or irrational, but because they are trauma bonded. This traumatic bond can take a huge toll on the victim's health. For example, health-induced eczema, high blood pressure, gut problems, all the problems that we mentioned in my last video when I talked with Anushka. The second interview, we talk about the specific physical things that happen. So I wanted to touch on the Stockholm Syndrome and why everybody, if you see trauma bond, everybody talks about Stockholm Syndrome. It happened in 1973, and it was a bank robbery in Sweden, in Stockholm. One of the targets of this, the hostages, developed a bond with the abuser where she would defend them and think that what the abuser was doing was okay, so justifying and all that. And they saw that that happens with victims of abuse as well, and because the brain is trying to keep you alive basically. And so it happens when there's a big threat to your life, psychological or violent, and then you are forgiven, you're not killed basically. You feel grateful for the abuser not killing you, and you start to see little things of kindness, like they said, they reported that they fed them, they would give them water while they were being tied down in the basement with dynamite and all that. So, but they said no, they fed us, and they, you know, that's how the brain reacts. It's trying to survive. It's completely normal. That's what we all do. So so that's the Stockholm Syndrome, and from that they started doing research, and they saw that that's the same thing that happens to victims of incest, of abuse, and of people that go through abuse. And so this is the bond that is cemented so powerfully. It's even more powerful than the healthy bond, you know, the regular normal bond. And so that's why it's so hard for victims of abuse to really take the plunge and say, okay, that's it. Because there's intermittent reinforcement, which is the one thing that is the most powerful to make somebody do something, like walking on eggshells. Victims of abuse know a lot about that. Trying to keep, always thinking about the abuser, trying to keep him or her happy, because if he's not happy, then I'm threatened. So the intermittent reinforcement, cognitive dissonance that abuse victims go through. The cognitive dissonance, in a nutshell, is the person that is supposed to love you, to care for you, is not safe, is actually harming you. So the brain has to come up with strategies. Either I buy into the lie that they're feeding us, that they're feeding me, or I have to make a huge change that may, possibly in some cases, could be life-threatening. So that's cognitive dissonance. It's hard to think under those terms. It's hard to, with the fog that you have on your brain, with all the inconsistency of behavior that the abuser deliberately performs on you, like intermittent reinforcement. It's known to be the most powerful behavioral tool to make somebody do something, and in a very sick way. And they somehow know this because either they went through this, or they inherently know what they're doing. I'm not a neuroscientist or a neurologist or a doctor. I'm just a professional counselor. But what I know is that oxytocin has a great oxytocin and other chemicals as well, but oxytocin is the neuropeptide. It's also a neurotransmitter and a hormone. It's very complicated that has a dual response. When the abuser is good to us, it generates the anxiolytic effect. When the abuser is mean to us, it generates the anxiogenic effect. Rhonda Freeman has a great video about this. She's a neurologist here on YouTube. So trauma bond happens because of polarized flow of events, too good versus extremely bad. One moment everything is great, victims are flooded with kindness, love and attention. The next moment, or they are neglected. There's silent treatment, abuse. These two extremes cause oxytocin release in the brain. Oxytocin, also called the prosocial hormone. The prosocial hormone because it depends on the environment. It's also called the cuddle hormone because it's the one that has a role in milk ejection, the mother, uterine contractions, love, sex, cuddles, and all that. So it's a feel-good hormone. But also, when activated, it could be a feel-bad hormone, too, in layman's terms. So it can be calming and it can be anxiety-provoking. Hence, that's the hormone that makes victims of abuse hooked to the abuser because of the reinforcement. You know, the intermittent reinforcement, good and bad, all the time, walking on eggshells and all that. That's the hormone that plays a big role there. And that is the chemical that makes you, although you know it's bad for you, that person, you still miss that person and all that. But I don't want this to restrict this to chemicals, because it sounds like a drug user, and we're not. We're just people that came across these people, these psychopaths. And so I don't like the comparison with drugs, because it's sort of, everybody on YouTube is saying that it's like a drug addiction, all that. The thing is, the same parts of the brain that light up with a drug addiction light up in this case. So that's why they're saying that, which is fairly reasonable. And also there's opioids and dopamine and all that have a huge role in this too. That's why it's so strong, that you feel this sort of magical thing, that you're drawn to them. But this can be overcome. First, know all this, learn about this, study this, so that you are aware of what goes on. First step. Second, replace the bad relationships, the oxytocin cravings and all that. Replace that with good relationships. Since it's an environmental hormone, get together with good people that feel safe, that you can trust. Talk to them. Talk to a therapist, talk to your friends, talk to people that are okay with you talking about this, and that you are okay talking to about this. That's the second thing. Also, cry. You will be sad. You need to cry. It's amazingly powerful, and so it's very important that you cry and talk to people, your therapist or somebody, about this. And since people are comparing this to a drug, you could say you need withdrawal from this, and you need no contact. That's why no contact is so useful in these cases, because you need to stay away from these people. Whenever you feel like you are coming back because they're hovering, that you have to learn, educate yourself about this, because that's the only way that you will understand the dynamics of this. So get a replacement of the good oxytocin that you used to get, when everything was okay with the abuser, with good social interactions with people that really care about you. Talk to family and friends, and be in contact with good people. That's how you overcome this. And also learned. Okay, I'm repeating myself. So yes, but the main thing that I want to tell you is that you can get over this, and you will get over this. It doesn't take much time, I tell you. Just knowing this is extremely powerful, because you will start to be aware. Do yoga. Yoga helps a lot with awareness and being in the moment, mindfulness, because you start to realize what's happening as it happens, as it unfolds. So that now that you have these tools, you have this knowledge, you won't, do that again.